We join back in with our adventurers after last week. They had gone up on stage and accepted their prize money and their favor, deciding to take access to more secure areas of knowledge within the city. After receiving this, they then went to receive their other reward from Madame Oracle, and after an interesting offer to which Dante was not best pleased, the group decided to take money and the address of Dimitrius, a interesting character that the players have only met in passing, really. You don't really know anything about him other than that Madame Oracle told you he was especially adept at binding creatures to things. After returning to you've looked for a new place to stay and were given by House Glass a storehouse down still in the Forge Ward, but down in the lower district, closer to the Zikar processing plants. And you guys went in and set up and settled down. I don't think I missed anything.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
You
and remember
exactly what Paul said.
You muted.
Well, everyone got the gist of what I said.
Yeah, the crystal was the scrying thing.
Yeah.
Then
Eleni and Volu took the
after counting
device, whatever it was. Yeah.
So after counting out their money, however, they discovered that Madame Oracle had left a little gem that was giving off a magical signal of sorts. Eleni and Volu went on a little stroll back down towards the Rusty Bucket before placing it in one of the parade carts that was heading up towards the bastion for the final handing over of the power in the city, essentially. However, less distracted with these things. I think after that, am I right in thinking you would sort of head back up and rejoin Dante and Ichi?
Yes.
Dante, Ichi's sort of just been, chilling and watching. Have you been doing anything specific in the meantime?
No, I would have been moody emo teenager.
Okie dokie. So as you're sort of getting back up, it's not that late in the day. Obviously, the award ceremony was the morning. You've obviously done some different things as you've headed around the city. It's maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock, that sort of time. And you would have the rest of the day. Ichi, I think, definitely has most of the time that you've been sat here, Dante, has been scrolling out sigils that if you glanced over at any point, passing to get water and taking a glance, it all just looks like religious-y stuff, but nothing that you recognize other than on the golem. And I think he would definitely be wanting to maybe go look in the library, see if he can find any sigils that match up with these.
Dante will probably forego the library at first. He wants to go to Dimitrius.
Okay, I think on the way back as well, while me and Volu were walking from wherever, I think we were near the Rusty Bucket, weren't we? So if we're walking back from there to the storehouse, I would probably say to Volu, what do you think we should research first? I mean, how do you want to do this?
It's tricky because I know before we were kind of trying to figure out everything about me, but I'm more worried about Dante now.
Do we want to look for more information about our Vovo? It seems like a missed opportunity if we don't at least have a quick look. I don't know if there's anything else to find, or if there's anything around. Maybe Astera's been ill before. Maybe we could see if this has happened in the past.
We were looking at. We noticed that it was mentioned and then it just disappeared, and things don't just disappear. So it's whilst we're in the city, it's definitely worth checking on that. But at the same time, I don't think the situation with Dante is getting any easier, and I'm worried about it. So it's kind of, we've almost got to do both, and it would be good if maybe Ichi looked into it as well, but it depends. We've got to keep someone with Dante, and I know that he's not particularly interested in lounging around in a library all day.
I mean, we haven't got a time scale on this thing, have we? We've just said access to the libraries. I don't think they've said it's for 1 hour or
No.
one day.
We're scholars as the city, but we didn't really want to stay here much longer, did we?
Ichi would say. I mean, we could split up. I mean, as much as I want to look into it, if one of you could look into this for me.
Ichi's not with us, is he, at the moment?
Well, oh, sorry,
We're in
the
true,
room.
true,
Yeah,
true,
this is just me
This
and
is when you were
Volume.
walking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, DM, shut up.
Yeah, sorry.
Stop reading my thoughts, Ichi.
Well, maybe we can have a really quick look, and if there's nothing there, we just abandon it. But I wouldn't like to think there was some information about Alvovo or the forest, and we didn't look.
No,
we didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah. We've got to. Something with this corruption is linked to other realms. Tenebris mentioned it to me that I mean, you were there and he compelled you, but you could still hear. He's experienced this before, and they quelled it. So it maybe there's historical texts about what happened in the other realms as well. I'm not too sure, but any information on how to tackle this, because
Dante isn't going to ask him for us. We need to see what we can find.
I've tried on 1 or 2 occasions and immediately just shut down.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we hurry on back?
Yes.
I'll kind of see if there's any food vendors around and grab us a sandwich. And
we did say we were going to get some food, didn't we, on the way back? And drink.
So say that you probably come through the door of the storehouse holding a few armfuls of food and drink and a few sandwiches. I'll say knock off 5 silver each for what you sort of pick up.
I feel like they should get a deal for being the champions of the Doom Hacker.
No, they just got more rather than cheaper.
5 silver.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I didn't even hear that sneeze.
I think he was watching.
I'm always watching.
That's not creepy at all.
Dante, calm down. I'm sorry.
But yes, okay. So as you come in, you would see Ichi he's getting together his notes, and again, both of you would see and have seen all of the previous night as well, the religious-looking scribings that you don't recognize and you didn't recognize except for on the golem. In terms of you've seen it before. Yeah, you would be able to come in. Dante and Ichi would be there in the main area.
Dante's pacing with the address in his hand, just kind of just waiting.
Did you want to do that first, Dante?
Soon as possible.
I mean, did we want to see this handover ceremony as well, or are we not bothered?
I do not care about the handover. I have got what I need.
How far?
Ichi would happily go to it in our place.
Well, I may have accidentally dropped that little thing on a cart heading up towards the bastion, so hopefully they think we've headed up there. They will have seen that we came here, though, if they were following it.
I'm saying, is there
I think
any?
we still need to be on alert, basically. Just
Or
in
come up,
case.
or come up with a reason why we'd come this way.
I mean, I suppose if they know it's a glass house, we may have had a reason to come here because they were our sponsors. But I think I'd still feel safer if we had watches on at the night times and, kept an eye out.
It's not particularly late right now, is it?
No,
No.
it's mid-afternoon. So we've got time to go do the Dimitrius thing,
Dimitrius.
definitely in the daylight, and then, yeah.
Well, if there is time, I think going now would be good. And Dante will just get up and start heading out.
Ichi will sort of stand and say to you guys, I am going to go get a start on the research. I want to look into what's that golem was and how it's related to all this.
Great watcher.
He knows they're going with.
We'll keep our eye on Dante.
Thank you. He would also let me check this, but I think he would send his steed with you. But let me just make sure that they are linked telepathically over that distance.
Sure.
I'm just having a quick look.
Why is he sending his steed with us? Sorry.
So
Why is he sending it with us?
So that you can alert him. So yeah, while they're within 1 mile, they can communicate. So if you're in trouble and Paul can't send him for whatever reason.
And it looks like a dog at the moment, doesn't it?
It just looks like a normal dog. Well, no, it's a planty dog. It is a planty
Mastiff,
dog.
isn't it?
A planty mastiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll just say, follow Dante. He'll say, follow Dante, but do as Lenny commands. That's for the Great Watcher. That's for the Great Watcher.
Why is it got to be a Lenny? As I'm holding 10 sandwiches, 16 drinks.
It comes up.
Because I'm bigger than you. Stop arguing.
And
Heightist.
I say Ichi will head out trying to make the most of the library in the day that is left.
I love the idea of just like saying, because I'm big and you're small, and I'm right and you're wrong.
Other films are available.
Yeah, but you and you did take a look at the address last time.
You did?
We did.
And you saw that it was on the other side, the other peak of the Zenith Ward, opposite to House Glass.
Yeah.
And it's almost touching the rightmost wall on the map. It's
Okay.
sort of hexagonal. So it's I should know the shit. Why has it gone from my head?
The little white bits, by the way, are like bridges. So there are sort of walkways between buildings as well.
And when walkway to the quadrilateral.
And yeah, and a lot of the buildings in the Zenith Ward are like almost towery style, sort of built up and being supported
like
by
up along the side of the cliff.
Yeah. And that's almost again like house glass stands apart where it stands because it's a big wide space with lots of like story and a half buildings rather than like the grand towers that surround it. But you would, if you wish, be able to set off in that direction. Are you taking the hover buggy that you still got?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we do still have it, don't we?
You
yeah.
said you
Hop it
needed to bring it back before sundown.
Although
might
it's
as
like I
well.
thought we had it for a couple of days.
Was it days? I didn't think it was days. I thought it was.
I thought it was going to be for till
No,
like back after the thing, and I'm sure you said days.
this was the one you nicked, wasn't it?
Well, nicked with permission.
Convinced. We'll figure out the
Yeah,
timings, but you can
borrowed.
borrowed. But yeah, you can take that if you wish.
Yeah, of course. It'll be probably the fastest way of doing it. So Dante jumps in and starts driving off. Presuming,
With us,
Okay.
with us
presuming people
inside.
have. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
about to say, as long as you're close enough and you've got in time, you're fine.
And so I'd say, Eleni, you would become most aware of it immediately as the cart pulls out onto a slightly busier street, and you notice the first like few children like looking towards mostly Dante with the clear like as the driver as well. That's mostly who people were like looking at as the obviously people on the back, but you are also covering. But you would see people starting to take notice. As the cart moves past. Most of the busiest bit of it is sort of you can almost hear it up in the chantry as you're heading up the mythic ward, and almost taking a longer stretch through the mythic ward would be able to sort of come up this right hand stairs and avoid the parade. You would around the home tree inn. They've set up almost like a beer garden style area, and you can see the back of the parade is almost filtering off into that. If you imagine people who wanted to follow it and wanted to be part of it, but actually don't really care about watching the announcement, they're sort of drifting off, but it's almost catching anybody from filtering out of the chantry as well. But you would see that very clearly and be able to divert around, avoiding the majority of the public. Around as you're passing just up and about to leave the mythic ward up that right side, you would see another buggy, smaller than yours, only for two people, unbranded, moving the other way down the street, and would clearly see Moonshadow Jr. Orkin. He does have what looks to be a bodyguard next to him, definitely not another student. And they're going quite quickly and just in the other direction. If you imagine when you're coming to this spike here, you're coming like this way, and they're going down that way. But you would catch them as you sort of cross. And I'd say that, Eleni, with your passive, you would catch that they definitely saw as well. There was that moment of like both looking, but their bodyguard is driving and they're just going.
Are they driving like fast, or are they just,
Fast, but not
speed?
recklessly. They're definitely like as fast as one of these things can go.
But I'd know that's sort of heading down towards the academy anyway, and that's where he is at the academy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'd just clock it. I wouldn't necessarily say anything.
That's fine.
Dante doesn't care.
And eventually making your way up into the Zenith. I'm trying to think which way around it is. This is Zenith East.
West.
No.
South is down.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's Zenith West. Up into the West Zenith Peak.
I promise I'll turn this map around. I'll put a thing on it at some point.
Stress. I'd still get it wrong. And make your way through. As you get up into this area, this is like, so as you can see on the map, they're almost like blocked chunks with bridges in between them and such. Each sort of section is almost either its own sort of tower or its own little fenced off area, and it is definitely like either owned by government or very rich. It looks, some of them look office building even in the design. But as you sort of make your way through towards the back end of it, you're almost seeing that actually the ones that are nearing and touching the mountainside, they're actually more prone to damage, right? And when there's earthquakes and other things, the central areas of the Zenith Ward don't really feel the tumble of rockfall. But the ones that are touching, and you can see bits of repairs and damage that have been done throughout. And maybe those cracks you almost get past that first layer of bright, shiny buildings, and then there's the ones that are all a bit cracked and not quite repaired properly. And the further back you get, it's almost like a bit of a view into the actual mix of, or maybe the front of poverty versus rich. That maybe some of the people that live up here are playing to keep status, or other struggles that go on. And as you pull up to the address, you see a fairly tall tower. It looks to be 4 stories, all one building, morphed from the same grey stone that the rest of the city is made from. You can see that a bridge it's almost passing. It's not like this bridge is made for the tower, but it's connecting to other walkways and passes on a higher level. You can see that there is a door and an entryway up there. That's on the 2nd level. But also you would notice that this building doesn't seem as cared for as even some of the others around it. There are bits of broken mortar and other areas. Even in the garden around you, there's like a clump of rocks that have tumbled down from the mountainside and just been sort of left where they lay. Obviously, you would know that there have been a number of earthquakes recently that you experienced down in the crevasse. And standing before you is a large stone double door with 2 stone knockers that are sort of the faces of gargoyles, that with the iron bar and the iron ring in their mouths.
Well, I am going to slap those knockers.
You you go to knock the knocker, and it gives
No, both of them.
Both of them at the same time.
Yeah. So it's,
You
you
go.
always
You
have to
sort.
knock you can't treat one different to the other.
You sort of go to knock with a decent amount of force, and it knocks like almost as if it's muted. And I'd say that. Do you want to roll me an Arcana?
That would be shite. 9. Oh, hang on. Do I get advantage on any of these? What do I get advantage for? Is there anything
No, it wouldn't be for this.
No, okay.
So yeah, you're not quite sure why, but it didn't quite knock as you expected it to. You pause for a moment before there's like almost like the twisting of colors in the air, a small pop, and a pen and quill appears in the air. Pauses for a moment. So, and then all of a sudden, with no mouth or no indication that it could speak, yes, what do you want? My master is very busy right now. He does not like guests.
Madam sent us.
There's a longer pause, and it's really hard to read a pen, like a pen, and it's a very nicely designed, almost crystal in the area where you would use the ink, that leads up to a large, almost twisting feather plume.
And I would just say, and your master would recognize us from their company.
Yes. There's a pop, and it almost like twists inwards and disappears. As there's a wait and a wait and a wait. And then again the pop. He wants to know what she wants. His dealings with Madam Oracle were supposed to be done with.
I have a job that I need help with. I am a student of knowledge, and he has skills that are in dire need.
Yeah, I'm going to say persuasion or deception, because you kind of skirt in the line a little bit. But I'll let you choose, because you're telling truths edgingly, like you have just been announced as scholars to the city, so it's not.
I'm going to say deception. I mean, they're both +3, but just for this, I'm going to say deception because I'm not telling lies, but I'm telling half truths.
Yeah, that's why I sort of feel it says.
Oh, that's good. 18 +3, 21.
Again, there's a very awkwardly long pause, which I'm pretty sure Dante doesn't feel any awkwardness in at all. Just sort of sits and waits. For Voli, it's just like the longest anybody hasn't spoken, and you just can't read anything from them. They're just stationary, floating in the air. Before again, it pops out. There's another long pause as Voli, your legs are starting to ache. It feels like the stairs all over again.
I'll be tapping my feet like that. I can't stand still. I'll be a little bit restless.
Before finally another pop and apparition appearing of the pen servant. They will see you. When you go in, don't touch anything, please. And then again, as they disappear, for those of you, I think definitely Eleni, Volu, do you want to roll me a perception?
I haven't seen it.
No, and no, definitely, I don't think you have. You will see that the door clicks and opens and just sort of swings open.
14.
Okay, so Voli, you just catch it. But so for Eleni, there's almost a descending shimmer. Not like almost like glitter. It's almost like the glitter was falling and you're now realizing it's stopped, though you couldn't quite see it before. So it's almost like you're noticing the beginning of no glitter, if that makes you know what that means, the no shimmer. For
like
Volu,
I've only noticed it once it's gone.
Yes.
Right.
When it turns off, that's when you go, oh, there's been something there. For Volu, it's almost like mirage. You know, when you're looking in that heat down a hot road, and there's just for that second that bend of light, but you don't quite catch the full descent, if that makes sense. But you will then all see the door does click and open, and it looking in, as the door opens and swings, you start to see a fairly nicely decorated, though old and not cared for, entryway with a long sort of purple looking rug. And as you're sort of looking and the door opens in full, the lights down the road begin to turn on. Standing almost about 10 foot in, but sort of standing almost wait expectantly, is a suit of armor that as but immediately you know it's not just as it turns towards you and says, "Greetings, my master is upstairs."
Sorry, my laptop started having low battery.
No, sorry. So yes, as you look in, the lights start to go on, and a suit of armor just turned and said, "My master will be waiting upstairs," and motioned towards a set of stairs on the far side. You can see different doors to the left and right, and again, Eleni, with your higher perception, one or two of the doors shut, but as if somebody was trying to do it quietly.
Okay.
So it's almost like, you know, that soft that you sort of hear as they click into place. Doors in this area just closed.
How's my swarm reacting?
No way in any. They're not like yeah. They don't see like that in terms of like they're not getting a
No,
sense of anything
but they're
weird
not
from them.
freaking out like they have before when weird stuff's happened. There's no sort of
No.
reaction particularly. Okay. I am on pretty high alert. I've been feeling paranoid anyway, but this is definitely not what it seems. And I think I probably wouldn't say it out loud because I'm suspecting that he's going to hear everything that we say through whatever is around. I don't know. I feel like I hadn't realized Dimitrius had this much power. I don't know. I think I assumed he was just a bloke with an interesting box of some kind, and not all this is more than I was expecting. I'm looking at everything, treading carefully.
Okay.
And I would,
Do you want to
I would
actually
possibly
roll
even
me?
take, yeah, I would possibly even take up the rear, right? I'm sort of like,
Yeah. Do you want to roll me an actual perception?
yeah.
And you can roll at advantage. Wait. Yes, you can.
Hang on.
So
I don't know
seeing
whether it rolled or not
seeing all
now.
these things, firstly, has Dante ever seen or experienced anything like this before, even if it's not himself?
I mean, there have been times where you or Tedebris has fought with animated suits of armor and such like that, but not like this, and not like, oh yes, I recognize this butler. You know, I like there's
Yeah.
not in this way. You've seen them as in fighting them as enemies, but not just like one that talks, one that's doing this, one, you know.
Okay, but it's not like it's like seemingly abnormal.
Oh no, and you know, like lots of like golems and all those other things that can be made, and one thing, and you would know this. I think Dante definitely you would know this. I'm not sure about the others yet because I don't know how much research you've done into it. But at least each you would have explained that the actual whole thing of like binding souls is pretty illegal unless you're doing it for like a explainable, provable reason. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously with Tenebris, he was dealing damage. He had this whole trail of evidence. They built up the case against why they had to do this.
That was a 13.
Okay.
So Dante. Sorry, I'll just say. So Dante.
6. I was just saying, if
No,
we were all rolling, I got a 6.
Dante isn't particularly concerned over it. His demeanor hasn't changed. He has one focus as far as he's concerned. Everything else, he has no care about how powerful. In fact, the more powerful this person may be, the better. He's just looking for help, and he's just going to walk through metaphorical fire to get to it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So you start to head forwards. Volu, there's something about this place that makes you uneasy. And you can't get this like it's not like run away. It's just like it's uncomfortable. It's kind of itchy. Something weird. The rest of you don't seem to feel it. Though, Eleni, as you're sort of looking around, you enter in, you sort of look left and right, and you're seeing portraits painted and drawn all over the walls of different family members. Or assuming family members. They've almost got old dusty plaques at the bottom of them and such, but you can't make out quite all of them. And you didn't really see Dimitrius well enough to be like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. But the way it's presented gives you sort of, oh, it's like the family vibe. And if that's the case, you're seeing quite old. So, you know, like this painting was done a long time ago, not just that, you know, it was done recently of an old thing. And you would be able to start moving up the stairs if you wish.
Yep. Dante just powers on ahead.
Okay, you move up the stairs into a small hallway. Again, there are five doors leading off this. There's 2 on the left, 2 on the right. There's a set of stairs going further, like you sort of have to walk down the hallway, and then there's one at the very end of the corridor. The one at the very end is fully open, and you can see warm firelight coming from that area. And as you sort of Dante, as you sort of stepping up the fairly old and creaky stairs, as you sort of like with your heavy combat boots almost, the pen floats into view in the room at the end of the hallway.
Cool.
Dante
Yeah.
just continues forwards.
Yeah, there's lit light. Dante isn't going to look in any other rooms. He's been told not to touch anything, and he's after something. So,
Yeah,
as far as he's concerned, that's his
I
soul.
kind of just followed Dante's lead. 'Cause, yeah, I'm not too sure how I'm feeling. Why did you say itchy? Because I've been itching since you've said that.
Oh, he said
And I
itchy.
would be following behind, but occasionally looking over my shoulder, just not touching, but looking around.
And is
Okay.
Plant Mastiff fine?
Yeah, Plant Mastiff seems okay. They're just following in behind. They don't seem especially affected or anything. And you would be able to make your way down the hallway. I'd say as you do, all the doors off this hallway are shut. Lenny, sort of all of you really, just by spacing, there's like on the left, the 2 doors are spaced further apart. You imagine that they're 2 bigger rooms, whereas the ones on the right are very close together, and then there's the stairwell. Does that make sense? So
it's more like offices on one side and like,
or maybe even
lounges,
storage.
or on the other side.
Or at the very least, smaller rooms on the right and bigger rooms on the left. And as you make your way down and in, the pen would float aside, and you would be able to see a fairly nicely decorated room, but also just stacked high with books and different things and research and as you're entering, you're seeing that some of those stacks are definitely much older, with cascading dust almost falling off it as you guys enter, and just the air is disturbed. And you would see 3 fairly large sofas sort of positioned around the fire, and in one of them, huddled in the sort of in the furthest position away from you, you would see Dimitrius.
While I look at him, I'm like, there's no
While you're
way.
pondering, I will just very quickly say, your eyes cast a glance around. There are the same sort of large pictures and portraits of different people sort of around the room. There are also 7 unmoving suits of armor in here.
Just looking at, well, firstly, I want to do an insight just to see, is he nervous?
Even without rolling, he looks scared.
Just because he seems scared doesn't mean that, so it's an all act.
Oh yeah. If you wish to still roll.
16 on the insight.
So yeah, he looks pretty scared. You would see as he's sat in his chair, they doesn't look any cleaner than the last time you saw him. The beard is almost more unkept and frayed, although you would see the signs of some grooming, almost like the edges being trimmed and neatened at points. But it doesn't look like it's a regular occurrence. And yeah, you would see that their hands are bandaged, which they weren't last time. But they look genuinely nervous and worried about why you're here, and they're looking at you very like. And as you enter you said you had a job.
Dante will remain standing the whole time and will walk over. Not, I was about to say not menacingly, but I mean Dante. He'll walk closer, just like walks in, not invading space or anything like that.
Yes. I want to know. You have a power to bind creatures, souls, and bind to objects and whatnot.
The eyes narrow. That passive 16 would pick up the fear remains, but growing suspicion. As they say, allegedly.
I'm in need of this service. Are you able to unbind such things?
They will cast a glance over to Eleni and Volu. What are you guys doing?
Just standing quietly, probably still quite near the door.
Yeah, kind of like stood there, maybe like still feeling a little bit fidgety, kind of maybe trying to look a bit nonchalant, look around at the statues and stuff.
I'd
Not
be doing
statues,
that. I'd be doing that
armor.
very still, sort of hands folded in front of me, almost like bodyguard stance kind of thing. Just sort of stood watching.
And you say, Oracle would vouch for you, yes.
She is it. She is the reason we came here. It is the payment for a job.
Interesting payments.
Interesting job.
So I asked a question.
Yes, you would see they are genuinely sort of like pondering it over, and they're again almost that slightly too long of a silence, as they're just like genuinely just thinking to themselves.
There is something bound within me. Possessed, as it were.
Definitely eyes peaks at that.
I need it to separate, or I need it sealed up. The seal has recently become loose. And the thing that's inside could destroy this continent.
I suppose that wouldn't be very good. Oh, you sealed it? They sealed it?
Somebody sealed it.
Well.
And Dante's just going to go and just lift up his like giant sword, not a euphemism, and we'll just hold it in front of him, not in any kind of aggressive way. Lean back, and as he does, his arm just glows with red, come to, and his burns start to pop again, and the blade turns onto fire as I do my right.
Interesting indeed. And you know what creature it is?
It is an Efreeti.
He goes to talk again, and the quill and the pen quill floaty thing sort of flutters in his face, and you would hear it say, "Before going any further, we must talk terms. You said this is a job." And you would see sort of, yes, you are right. I forget myself sometimes.
This is a favor from Madam. She gave us your details to resolve this problem. That is the job.
Give me another deceit.
I thought it was -1. No, it's +3. 17.
You would see less of, they almost dismiss it as less of that they not even really consider it, as they almost very factually state, all of my dealings with Madam Oracle are finished, finite. That was the deals of our last arrangements. If you are here, I hope it is not on her orders, or you will be politely asked to leave.
Perhaps we could make a deal with you directly.
Well, and again, the pen will sort of stay. A job we can take. The last job we took from Madam Oracle ended up with us owing them for a very long time. We have just got out of that debt. We do not want to be put back into it.
That is understandable.
But of course, payments can be monetary or information or even transactional, such as what do you intend to do with the creature after it is potentially bound?
See, if you can bind it into anything, we can destroy it. If you can't, we can entrap it somewhere. Or worst case, and this is not the case I want, if you cannot get it out of me, make sure it cannot get out.
So I can assume the creature's payment is not on the table.
No.
This creature is extremely dangerous. He has been free before and did a lot of damage.
There's almost they almost just they don't really care. There's like they almost just like yes. It's like of course they are. They all are. Like there's that sort of vibe from them. Well, how about in the beginning? I would need some time to research and to look into things. I would need to know everything you know about the creature. A beginning researcher's fee of 25 gold.
Chuck some 25 gold. Just straight off the bat, just go.
So like, and you see as it like it hits him, it almost like even though he sat down, you imagine that could have knocked him over if it had hit him. Like the frailness as the hits into him. Everyone roll me perceptions.
15.
Oh, 7.
16.
Okay. What are your special things?
Who?
Dante, sorry.
I really should write these down, shouldn't I?
Yeah. So should I probably.
So I have advantage, wisdom survival checks to track Fey, fiends, undead.
Okay.
And you have advantage on intelligence checks to recall information.
So roll again if you didn't roll with advantage previously.
Oh, slightly better, 19.
Okay, so Volu and
18. Rolled a 19.
Okay.
It's -1.
Yeah. Volu and Eleni, you see them catch it. The pen sort of seems to float to one side and begins scratching like almost like a contract together. You could imagine it almost like pulling bits of paper and beginning to write things. I've whispered something to you, Dante, that you notice with that. When you threw the bag, almost on the throw,
Right, okay.
it was almost you would gather like they weren't expecting you to reach into your pocket and throw something.
Yeah, okay.
But you would know
do that when I got the sword out.
But you did that very slow and presentively. You know what I mean? Like you were really, really careful with that obvious one, and then you go and throws you at it. But anyway, for he catches the money and goes, "Okay, yes, this will do. It may take a little bit of time. Again, we will draft up a brief contract, and
We are not here for a long time.
How much time do you need?
I mean, how much do you already know? The important things, where they're from, their species."
Ifriti, Brass City.
Oh, I meant the fire plane, but you know the actual city.
Name, Tenebris Solis.
They pause as true name.
Yes.
Well, this becomes a lot easier then.
I will say this, like potentially from so I don't know what Eleni or Foley will
At this
do.
point, I'll kind of scout in the room and investigate in the room, because
Yeah,
like
give me-
as this is going on, I'll just be kind of like wandering the room, kind of acting a bit aloof but looking around.
Don't know, say like how Volu or Eleni will react to this, but Dante is very much sharing information, which isn't what he normally does.
No, Eleni had clocked that, but she's taking it as he's so desperate to get this guy to help us, he's just going to go along with it. That's so, yeah, slightly surprised that you're being this open this quickly, but yeah.
They will. There might be a way if we have the name.
The seal that is currently holding his power back is from the Iris Knights.
So, Chris, your insight. There's like a
My
brief.
insight, not.
I'm pretty sure you rolled one though. I don't
Yeah,
think
16. I rolled 16.
So
I thought you. What did you
no, the
Dante
passives
or Chris?
the passives aren't enough to pick it up, but the rolled one that you did earlier is still just prevailing. There's a briefest of briefest pauses that he tries to hide when you mention the Iris Knights. I mean, there is something we could try, but if you want it quickly, I cannot do the research and experiments to ensure it will be the right thing. There are some day and a half pushing it. So I would need you to maybe collect some of the ingredients for things for me.
I will do it.
I have somebody in town. I will put in the orders. That you just need to collect. Oh, okay.
Eleni's going to just step forward and say, this contract and that payment is for the research, yes?
Yes, the
So at
preparation.
the point that you have finished researching and that you have a potential solution, we will negotiate again.
Well, then I think that time is now. If you want it rushed, I'm having to go with thought number one.
Which is?
Magic circle to prevent it escaping of any necessary. Some things that I know are weakening to the treaties that might make things harder. And then it is hard. If they are already bound, the only way to unbind them is to unbind them. They will have free reign, and the ability to escape the magic circle is not null and void, hence the need for weakening and disorientating preventatives. In that time, I would need to then activate the new binding. Now, This sword, yours or his?
His.
Better. I can bind it to anything, but that would be the easiest. And he just points at the sword. However, any object will do. Things that they have personal connection to always makes the transition a little easier. There is always the chance that they will resist, and on your part, Dante, there is no guarantee that you will make it through this transaction.
If
You
I
will
do,
need to.
what will happen to it?
Either it goes into what I'm trying to bind it, or it kills me and escapes. One of those two things. But that is pretty much the same every time we do something like this.
Have you ever bound anything like this before?
They almost, you would see like there's the urge and the smirk. There's like the urge to tell you. And Eleni would pick up on passive like, yes, he has. And then he would sort of again settle down and say, well, I mean, you saw the item Madam Oracle forced me to use.
I did, but I have no proof that you're the one that did that.
Suspicious, I like it. Well,
what will be your final payment?
something this large with risk to my life, with the legality precedents. I would say 600 gold.
Done.
Again, they sort of nod over to the pen and it begins. It almost slides off the first contract,
Dante,
almost for you to sign. And you will add it. You will note that it added that that is completed, like the first transaction, almost done, for you to sign.
as he goes to do it, Dante will stick out his hand for a shake, menacingly. Well, grumpily, and out.
This is how I always agree deals first before signing.
Again, he looks at you for a hot second, and I'm going to ask you to roll, and I'm going to get you to add either deception or persuasion, and I don't even want you to tell me until that you just tell me the number that you got, and it's whether you have true intentions or whether there is ulterior motive to the handshake.
22.
While all that hesitation's going on, Eleni is looking over the pen as it scribbles. She is reading what it's writing as it's.
Yeah,
writing.
and it does
I'm still just investigating the room.
Do you want to throw Volu? Give me it's going to be a perception, unless you are touching things. Are you trying to touch things? And if so, are you trying to do it subtly? So to investigate, you really need to pick things up. Look under things.
Volu's doing what does this button do in the back of the room?
Oh, if you blow this for Dante, he will kill you. Without a second thought.
It's more he's been told not to touch things, so then he'd almost want to touch them.
Mm-hmm.
But how he's in a pretty good mood, so actually he's gonna be able to rein that in, and the unnervingness will probably make him more hesitant to mess with the rules. So yeah, I'll do it as perception.
Perception. Hey Lenny, looking over it does seem to be fairly hitting the mark exactly. There's some extra legally jargon things in there about how death due to the unbinding of the creature is not the fault of the etc. All parties joining in know the risks. There's those bits.
I'm looking for any extras around. I don't know if Dimitrius was injured, we'd owe extra money, or we'd have to do extra stuff. Or I'm looking for additional things that we haven't actually said verbally that might be in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries. And what did you get? Sorry, Bowler.
21.
Okay. So you're sort of moving around, you're taking a look. And as you're going, one of the pictures up there shifted. Like the actual image shifted. Just very, very slightly, almost as if to like keep eye on you as you moved across the room. And then as you're sort of moving around a bit more, as the hesitation is going on, and there's some, there's back and forth in between the negotiations. There's the 7 suits of armor in here. 3 of them are made of a different material than 4 of them. Still seems metal, but distinctly different. And actually, without touching, almost one of the times that you nearly thought about touching and you got your finger very, 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 very close. There was almost like the draft of cold off the 4, not the 3.
I just love the idea of say like he's just about to do that and it just goes.
But Dimitrius would yes. Okay, so I will put in the order.
Dante's still there with his hand out.
And they will extend a hand and shake.
With that, I'm not just going to kind of clasp sorry, the other hand, but just like kind of give me a good shake, stare at him. Whilst I'm doing that, can I just investigate to see if there's an illusion or anything on him?
Yeah.
Just don't know if he's actually because I can't. You can't perceive illusions, can you? You can investigate them.
Yeah, you are right.
Oh yeah, that's easy. That's 25.
No signs of any illusions. Although you would notice, firstly, the almost wince as you touch the back of his hand. And actually, because you've actually, you've been fairly, you've fought in a lot of fights, you've done a lot of those sorts of things, you've had to fix your own wounds. His hands are wrapped, but they feel like they were recently broken. Almost like some of the knuckles move a little bit more than they should. And
Whilst he will keep hold of his hand as he's doing it, and he will pull up close and just simply just kind of go.
I am a man of my word. Everything I say is true. But you fuck with this, and I will kill you.
And I'll just let go of him. And sign the bit of paper. Do you want me to roll intimidation for that? Or
no, he is sufficiently. You would immediately pick up. He's not a fighter. Volu, you're the only one that would feel it because of proximity. For a second, the air got very, very cold. And not cold like icy cold, like a shiver that goes through you, that gives you the feel of maybe necrotic. But it's almost like as there were, again, the close pull-in, there was almost just like a well of energy near where you were stood. I'd say almost gave you the vibe of like built up something ready to go. Like they were, it's almost as if you, in the same way you feel as if you were casting a spell and then stopped and sort of held that energy in place for a second. But it does fizzle out as Dante stands and signs the paper. He'll say, I will put in the order. You can collect it. It is down in the main market. I will write the address for you. There is some things that we must go over. You understand that whatever item we choose to use will need to be cared for. It is still an item. It is still an object. While it will be enhanced and reinforced by the creature we embed within it, they still need to be cared for. Yes.
Yes.
It will still need somebody to watch it if you do not want it unbinding. The downside of something so rushed is that will be a fairly generic binding once they are bound. It will be steady and stable, and I have had no issues with creatures escaping, but it will be generic. Somebody of my skill could undo it.
I understand. I will keep hold of it.
Okay. Please return after midday in just over a day's time. So basically midday on the second day. Anytime after then, you can arrive, and they will
So 2 days time.
essentially. But like it depends, because you said you were leaving in 2 days, so he's like that is the shortest he can do is like the midday before you're supposed to be leaving that evening. Like
If it
So it's day after tomorrow, effectively.
Yeah.
if it helps.
Other films are available.
For safe, if it helps to bind it. You can use me as a second lock if necessary, but I want it out of me primarily.
I will ponder on it to this evening. For now, I need to prepare my my laboratory, and they will see them out, please. And again, he sort of almost like erringly drifts, sort of a little bit absent-mindedly now as they think, and they will leave the room almost before you guys do, walking past Volu and Eleni. You would see as they go, they definitely move with a hobble. And like they move as if they're extremely old, but they don't look that old. And Dante, from what you feel, you actually think very much more along the lines of damage rather than, you would guess that they are a middle-aged person who wrecked their body and ran themselves into the ground rather than a 400-old dwarf that is actually old and body is haggard, right? And after a moment, after you have all signed, the pen would float up and say, if you would now please make your way out of the tower.
Yep, Dante heads off.
And you would be able to make your way down. Again, there's almost like, for Eleni, it's almost like if you imagine there were a bunch of children just here trying to listen. And as you got to the top of the stairs, they all like and shut doors and things. There's like that. They're being stealthy, but they're not enough to sort of bypass your awareness.
Yeah.
But you get the feeling that like almost if you in your imagination you've got like 11 children pressed up to the door trying to listen. That's the vibe it gave you.
But is it like a creepy vibe, or is it like a sort of like it's children playing? Is it like
there's an essence of creepiness in that the house is fairly dilapidated, but there's no feel of threat from and there's no threat from like the movement. You know what I mean? It doesn't give you like the shifting up the walls towards us. It was all away from you. It was like and again, it almost immediately settles as you step out.
I would just follow again at the same pace, just making sure nothing follows us out. And
and you'd be able to make your way down.
I kind of walk down the hallway, might brush my hand against one doorknob.
Give me a sleight of hand
resist.
to see.
Sleight of hand, okay. Oh, where have you gone? You've gone.
Also, the temptation to make this a porky.
9.
So you You go to reach up, and the painting closest to you goes, "Don't you touch that," and then sort of settles back into place.
Eleni's behind Volu.
Yeah,
If she sees that and the portrait, she's gonna grab the back of his cloak and almost lift him and just take him with her, like a child. Like, no, take him with her.
And what I'll say as well is, so Dante, you won't have noticed just because you passed. You would have heard the "don't touch that," but by the time you look back, Dante, the painting has returned to normal.
Dante hasn't even looked back.
Yeah, I didn't think you would. But for Eleni and Volu, it's almost now like magic is broken. You know, like now that they revealed themselves. And if you imagine there's a painting of a person, on the back shoulder of that person is just like a shadow figure that's almost shifting around the painting image. That then, as you move forwards to the next painting and down to the next one, and follows you the entire exit of the house. But it's almost like now that it revealed itself, you know, like it broke its stealth, so it can't just go back into hiding while it's being observed.
Yeah.
But you would be able to, and it sort of finishes at the last painting that's maybe 10 foot into the doorway. As again, the suit of armor would. I hope you had a nice, successful visit. And the door swings open.
We did, thank you.
Yeah, literally.
As you're all exiting, Dante, normally you wouldn't have picked this up, but there is two people heading up the path towards you. The first is almost, if it wasn't for the fact they don't look like you at all, it's almost the same energy heading towards you, that brooding, focused energy is there. You see a fairly tall human, built wide with muscles that you would definitely notice as like they are a fighter or some other scars up and down the arms. And behind them, a much smaller, sleeker. Jesus, my brain. A much smaller and sleeker. Why is my brain gone? Gnome. Sorry. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. So standing behind them, a much smaller and sleeker, diminutive in size, gnome sort of walking behind. They're both hooded, not in like all dark blacks. They're all almost in like a blue long cloak, but they're like fully drawn up over their face. But Dante, firstly, for yourself, as you passed, you caught like the eyes under the cloak. They were like drilling into the side of your head. There's
almost back.
Yeah. Well, there's almost that like, but it's also momentary. Do you know, like you're brute, you're thinking about what's going on. You're almost past them when you get that uncomfortable, and they just walk past. And once they're past, they look away, but almost for too long. And Volu and Eleni, as you're exiting, you are washed over with a sense of run the fuck away. As your moths start to freak out, and Volu, everything in you, it doesn't feel right. And this figure stepping towards you is almost, when Ichi did his mantle, and that extra image, the almost oppressive visage that stands over him when he does that. This is the human embodiment of that. Eleni, can you actually give me a whiz save, please? Volu, you're not compelled. You just don't like it. In that moment, would you fix on the threat or like hide from the threat? I'm going to come back to Eleni in a moment.
Well, I'm like this at the moment, so
I would have been aiming to put you down as we stepped off the threshold almost. So I'm lifting you out of the door, but my plan would be to literally put you outside the door. Do you know what I mean? As we're stepping outside. So
Yeah, so depending on how Eleni reacts, I kind of be like looking at it, be like,
Can
but
I
Yeah. Okay. So as
sorry, can I
Volu,
ask a quick thing? Though I
Yeah.
expect that I probably wouldn't know because my insight's shit. When this guy stared at me, was drilling into my head kind of thing. Was it like an I know who you are or what you are, like I know you type, a knowing look?
you can roll me an insight, but it is going to be hard and high DC. So Volu, as they put you down, you're almost getting a view under the hood. If you imagine they're like drooped hoods over the head to cover them, you like looking up underneath. You would see this human. It has a scruffy black beard. They've got almost tanned olive skin, and they've got long hair that's almost up in a bun. But you can almost see that. You also see that it is like pulled out. It's messy, right? They've not. It's almost like they put that bun in 4 days ago and haven't touched it since.
yeah.
But also, you would notice the entire the entire neck area from where the shirt shows to just under the chin is black, dead-looking skin. And again, as he notices you looking, he fixes his eyes on you, and for a second, you see like a flash of like gold magic ring around his eyes. And again, you get that vibe of almost instinctively look down and walk. Like Eleni with a 13, you are still with yourself. You are still about yourself. You know that you're how you are and everything. You need to get away from the space. You need to get away from him. You need to be away now. It's almost the feeling of it's not that we are in danger, it's if we stand here any longer, we will be. Is the vibe that all of your moth swarm is screaming right now.
Do I feel like me personally I'm in danger,
All
or
of you.
all of us?
All of you.
In which case, I would, as soon as I feel that, I would step forward, wrap my cloak around Volu like I've done before, pick him up and go invisible. Like hide him in my coat and invisible.
No resistance.
Can you do that?
I know it's only going to last 6 seconds or whatever, but I'm going to
technically, if they are, because objects you are carrying. So I kind of say, I've always sort of said that if you can fully enclose them within
that's
a
why
thing,
I said it, because you allowed it last time when I
yeah,
completely sort of wrapped him up.
Volu is essentially only just smaller.
I might hop in on and she's just putting a cloak round.
No, it's cool. I wouldn't have thought that. Cool.
But yes, you would notice that they just sort of, after like glaring daggers at Volu for a second, they like look up, and as you're wrapping the cloak, they're passing you. You would see the gnome takes more notice of the disappearance than the figure in front.
Yeah.
And as they move, they don't even wait for the door. They just push the door, and there is an almost small, brief moment of resistance before the door just swings open in front of them. And as they enter, you would hear the armor like Master Delrond, I was not expecting, and they just walk past it. I will see him now. I'm in need, and they just enter in through the tower. The gnome, you would sort of see them like, sorry, so it's that time, and then they'll close the door.
I mean, Eleni would have almost, like I said, about to put Volu down, pulls him back towards her again and sweeps and invises, and almost just does a bit of a, spin around to behind them, knowing that she's only got, 6 seconds before she comes back again.
Yeah. And I'd say that. Sorry, go on.
I'm literally just latched on.
Yeah, and then as that invisibility drops, would then put him down and just sort of stand and look.
And I'll say, Eleni, there's still that prevailing urge to just be away from here. It's not quite as dreadful now the door is closed.
Yeah.
And as you all stand there, Dante sort of walking almost walking ahead, so almost maybe a little bit oblivious to what transpired between the others. Obviously, you took notice of the look, but other than that, and as you are exiting a fruitful afternoon, it's probably only been about an hour and a half since since you set off and came up here, and wasn't that long of a conversation. But as you make your way into the evening night of Cadfesi, that is where we will end part 1. Thank you very much for watching. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you're enjoying the adventures and want to find out what will happen next, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are going to come out. And as always, roll well. Bye. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 airs Sunday, 7 PM GMT, or will be linked in the top right of your screen now. Thank you for watching, and roll well.